Hello and welcome to Smash Hit Sports. I am your host, Cody Rear. Today we're going to be talking about college football Week 0 predictions, the expectations we have for the Big 10, their new media deal, which is absolutely outrageous, but we're going to get into it. This is the first episode of the show. Day one, A1 from day one. I appreciate you guys for listening. The logistics of the show, we're going to do twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday. We're going to talk all things college football, NFL. We're football guys, all right? I'm a football guy. You're a football guy listening, I could tell, or girl, football guys and girls. It's a universal term, but we're going to have an awesome show. We have a ton of great content coming your way. So if you are interested in enjoying this, please give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. We're going to have a hell of a lot of fun this season, and we're going to win you a lot of money gambling. It's going to be a good time. But we have an incredible first guest today, Noah at NBenz20 on all social medias. This dude's borderline brilliant, master's in sports administration from Ohio University. He says it's the #1 sports administration program in the world. So does the internet. I tend to believe the internet, but it's good to hear it from Noah. He is currently in corporate sponsorship consulting, which is incredibly fancy, but he's been in the college sports world and the college business world. Noah, how you doing, man?
Great, Cody. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being your first guest. Obviously, longtime friend, longtime supporter, and I'm happy to see where this takes you. So excited to get into it, talk some Big 10 football today. That's kind of my specialty, as you know. And, we'll see where this takes us.
Yeah, and the Big 10, we know, has no shortage of story, drama, and everything going on with, the bringing in USC and UCLA. We'll see how that goes. But we got time before we have to see the results of that. But the Big 10 media deal, absolutely insane. I think it's $7 billion over the next 7 years and ends in 2030. There's contract stipulations that allow it to go up to $10 billion. What does this mean for the Big 10?
I mean, it's really sort of unprecedented. We kind of thought that, at least I thought that this conference expansion had kind of died down for the time being. And then sure enough, we get news out of the blue one day, really, that USC and UCLA are joining the Big 10. And that kind of just ripped open the whole Band-Aid again. So now we're hearing talks of Notre Dame potentially getting involved in a conference, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. I'm hearing Oregon, Cal, Stanford, maybe Washington to the Big 10. So really, it's kind of getting rid of the whole regional aspect of collegiate sports, which some people could be a fan of and some people could not. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be good for the student athletes, give them a lot more opportunity, which is definitely the whole point of college athletics. So I think it could be a positive, but definitely will take some time to get used to.
Speaking of getting used to things, there have not been 10 teams in the Big 10 for God knows how long.
Years.
At what point do you change the name? Like, at what point does the conference name, like, the SEC, they're still pretty southeast, like, they haven't, like, brought in, like, a Utah or somebody yet.
But, I wouldn't call Missouri the southeast, but...
Well, okay, fair. That's fair. But at what point does the Big 10 be like, we have 20 teams. Like, we have to rename this thing?
I don't think that'll ever be the case. It's like the years and years of branding built up are too hard to get rid of. I mean, like, that'd be like, what if Notre Dame changed their football team name or something like that? Like, you just don't do it. What if Coca-Cola changed their name to Coke? It's years and years of branding that have been there that would piss off a lot of people should you change that. So it'll always be the Big 10, and I think it's a little homage to the teams that started in the beginning.
That's fair. I don't hate that. I mean, Pac-10 went to the Pac-12. So, like, I feel like there's some room for
the Conference of Champions. Yeah, sure. No one cares about the Pac-12. No offense to them. They just lost their two biggest brands as well. So,
look, the Pac-12 is hurting. I think at some point you're going to see either the best teams from the Mountain West joining or, like, some form of Big 12, Pac-12.
Pac-12 partnership will probably be the way to go.
But we'll see. The ACC has probably one of the worst TV deals in sports. with how they're like. Hindsight is obviously 2020, but after seeing what the SEC got from ESPN and then now what the Big Ten has gotten from this, Fox, NBC, CBS conglomerate, it's absolutely insane. Like, the ACC is so screwed, and they signed like a 10-year
really.
deal.
What was that?
But didn't they sign like a 10-year deal?
12, I believe. 10 or 12. Some double-digit deal, yeah.
Dude, and that's the thing about this Big Ten deal is doing 7 years, like they're going to re-up before the SEC even has a chance to re-up with ESPN. So it's absolutely insane. But yeah,
I think Big Ten is definitely setting the tone and in the lead in terms of the media rights deals. And I don't think we'll see that change anytime soon.
Hey, Big Ten. Tone setters. That's what everybody says.
It means more in the SEC, but it pays more in the Big Ten.
Oh, we're clipping that. We are clipping that. That's a hell of a quote. Means more in the SEC, but it pays more in the Big Ten.
Baby.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Speaking of big names and big conferences, Notre Dame. I am a massive Notre Dame fan.
Yes, you are.
Please.
And I am not.
Tell me about my team. Are we joining the Big Ten? Is that coming sooner rather than later? What's next for Notre Dame in this whole scheme of things?
And I don't think recently that we'll see Notre Dame joining a conference. I think we'll have to wait until we see what happens with the college football playoff. Should it expand, then I could see Notre Dame remaining an independent because there'll be a lot easier routes for them to make it to that playoff. Should conference realignment continue to grow the Big Ten and the SEC, and they eventually break off and do their own thing, which would probably be around 2026, which is when the college football playoff ends currently on that deal, then I would think Notre Dame would have to be forced into a conference, probably the Big Ten. It makes more sense. But that's going to be a couple years out. Notre Dame's in no rush to join the Big Ten or the SEC for that matter. They do fine on their own in terms of media rights and branding. They're probably the most nationally recognized collegiate brand. I know I've spoken to people who work in their partnerships arm in the past, and they really market Notre Dame football specifically as a national brand. So like you would market the Dallas Cowboys. They're not worried about, the Indiana market, for example. They're worried about coast-to-coast marketing. And maintaining their independency allows them to play teams on the East Coast and the West Coast and allows them to maintain some of their traditional rivalries. Obviously, they've lost out some of the Big Ten ones, but we'll see those picking up soon, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I think from just a football fan standpoint, if Notre Dame is going to join a conference, I want them to join the Big Ten. You get to keep some of the great college football rivalries between Notre Dame and Michigan, Notre Dame USC, Notre Dame Purdue, Notre Dame Michigan State even, your Spartans. So it'll be interesting to see. Hey, go white, right? Look, let's start with Sparty, right? We know the expectations of the Big Ten this year. There are Ohio State's the overwhelming favorite to win the conference. We know that, but you are a Michigan State fan.
There's no point even picking anybody else to win the conference. Ohio State is clearly going to go undefeated this year in the regular season, clearly going to run away with the Big Ten East, which is vastly competitive. So, I mean, they return pretty much everybody. Sure, they lose Olave. Sure, they lose Wilson, but Smith and Jigba was probably the best receiver on their team last year anyways, so and
they have Marvin Harrison Jr. That's a real step down. Just
retool, you lose 3 5-star receivers to replace them with 3 5-star receivers, so you're fine.
But let's hear about Sparty. I want to hear about Michigan State. I'm taking their win total over this season. I like them. I think it's 8.5 games.
8.5, is that it? Okay, I have them personally 10-2 on the season. I think we'll lose to Ohio State, and we'll lose one Michigan, Penn State, or Wisconsin game. I don't think it'll be Michigan, just as a fan, but we'll definitely lose one of those as well. So I think 10-2, second in the East. Michigan State will be vastly improved on defense this year. I think
Agreed.
Mel Tucker has proven time and time again that he's the king of the transfer portal, and just retooled a lot of defensive talent. It'll be hard to replace Kenneth Walker, but I mean, when you have a guy like that, you don't expect to replace him. You do your best, and he brought in two good transfer running backs, Jarek Broussard from Colorado and Jalen Berger from Wisconsin. So there'll be some help on the run game there, and then Peyton Thorne and Jaden Reed have probably the best connection between a wide receiver and a quarterback in the country. So I think 10-2 is reasonable, and I think second in the East.
Yeah, I think Peyton Thorne's one of the better quarterbacks, not only in the Big Ten, but in the country, really. I think he's incredibly slept on. I lied. Michigan State's win total is 7.5, so you bet your ass on hammering that over.
I mean, we have a tough schedule. Obviously, playing in the East is tough, adding Wisconsin, and then a non-conference game against Washington. But I think 10-2 is reasonable, 9-3 for sure.
I'm going to be honest. I am not very high on Washington this year, but I think we'll see that early in the season. But, yeah, the East is absolutely loaded. I mean, I don't think Michigan is going to have the same kind of season that Michigan had last year. I think they absolutely that they exceeded expectations. I don't expect that 2 years in a row. And it's not –
I want
Hutchinson,
to disagree.
Ojabo.
They lose a ton on defense, but they have one of the most high-octane offenses in the country, in my opinion. I'm not sold on their two-quarterback scheme, but I think their offense can carry them to also second in the Big Ten East, which that second spot's up for grabs between 3, maybe 4 teams if Maryland's offense just fires. But I think they won't compete with Ohio State for the Big Ten East championship, but I think they'll be top 15, top 10 program.
Yeah, that's fair. You're a little higher on them than I am, I guess. The one thing I will say about Michigan is their offensive line is absolutely mauling. So we'll see how they end up looking.
And a big transfer from Virginia, and
yeah,
I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's going to be a stud in the Big Ten.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to in the East. The West, the Big Ten West.
I love the Big Ten West this year. I'm excited.
This year. It is an absolute shit show. The teams at the bit, like, there are Purdue's win total 7.5, Nebraska's win total 7.5, Iowa's win total 7.5, Wisconsin's win total is 8.5. So the highest bid total in the Big Ten West. Who do you have coming out of the West?
Hear me out here. Hear me out. It's a team you didn't mention yet. I have Minnesota winning the Big Ten West.
Sky-U-Ma, row the boat.
Indeed. And a big reason for that is, in research and watching them play last year, their old offensive coordinator from 2019 returns, and he led Tanner Morgan to his best year. Also, Mo Ibrahim is going to be on an absolute revenge tour this year.
Oh, I'm so glad he's back. Him going down in week 1 last year was
it was bad for college football. It was bad for everything. So I'm excited to see him back. I think healthy, he's the best running back in the Big Ten. So
better than Wisconsin's guy?
Yeah. Then Braylon Allen? Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, Braylon Allen's a dog. He did that at 17 last year.
Yeah, Braylon Allen is a star, but there are always star running backs in the Big Ten, and I think Mo Ibrahim's special. And coming off an injury, I think he'll be a little more motivated. So I have Minnesota winning a very hotly contested Big Ten West this year.
As a Notre Dame fan, what I'm about to say kind of burns me a little bit. I'm going to go with Purdue. I'm going to go with Purdue. Look, Jeff Brom is a hell of a coach. I still can't get the clip of, like, do I have a heartbeat? Then let's play football. It's such a good
XFL clips.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think Aiden O'Connell is one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. Absolute rocket for an arm. I'm high on Purdue. I'm high on Purdue. I think they hit that win total 7.5. It should be a good year for the Boilermakers. Their schedules, I mean, it's okay. It's not super difficult, but we'll see. The problem is like there are just so many teams right there. Like Nebraska at 7.5, I still kind of don't get because I think Scott Frost is an awful coach, but we'll see how it goes.
So I have Purdue finishing 5th in the Big Ten West. And
5th.
Yep.
Damn.
And reason for that, they lost both their starting edge rushers in George Karlaftis and DeMarcus Mitchell, and they lost Aiden O'Connell's 2 top targets, and I just don't know if he has enough in him to do it himself. And again, the Big Ten West is going to be a bloodbath this year. So, I have them 5th. I have Nebraska ahead of them at 4th, actually. I think Scott Frost he's a coach that's on the hottest seat in probably college football, and I think he did some good work in the portal this year, and I think that he'll be at least competitive. And also, Nebraska was 3-9 last year, but probably the best 3-9 college football team in the history of the sport. So,
didn't lose a game by more than 10 points. I mean, just absolutely insane by them.
They were single digits away from being undefeated. So.
Yeah, they had a positive point differential at 3-9, which is hilariously insane.
I personally thought they should have been the team to replace anybody that couldn't go to a bowl game. So
I love that. That would have been absolutely electric.
They're the best 3-9 team in the history of college football.
All right, so before we move on, I mean, obviously it's the first episode, so anything we do, we're introducing new. Absolutely. I got a segment that I'm super excited to run, but do you have any teams that you really like are high on in the Big Ten or down on? You're like, man, I just don't see it this year.
Well, we already touched on them, so kind of like an exceeding and underwhelming expectations. Exceeding expectations, I have Minnesota winning the Big Ten West. And then underachieving, I have Purdue. So
I love it and I hate it because both of those go directly against what I think is going to happen. So we'll see. We'll find out who knows the Big Ten better pretty quickly.
Indeed, we will.
You're in the weeds there, so I absolutely could see it coming out on you. But
we can revisit in 12 weeks when Purdue is undefeated and winning the Big Ten West and Minnesota's in last place, and I'll give you your props.
I tell you what, it's always crazy in the Big Ten, but we have we're doing a new segment here. We're calling it Super Superlatives. All right. So what this is, those bullshit superlatives that you get in high school that are like,
best smile, best hair,
best the dumb shit that nobody cares about. Well, guess what? We care about it in college football. So I have some college football superlatives that I want you to answer. This is going to be, I'm going to throw this on the TikTok and Instagram and Twitter for the kids, But we're going to start out easy. Okay. Most likely to succeed.
Ohio State. I mean, that's as cookie cutter a question as you could ask in the Big Ten this year.
I think they're like minus 215 to win the conference, and I will parlay them with just about anybody, honestly, as far as like futures bets goes. Class clown
of the Big Ten.
Big Ten
this year. I'm going to go Illinois.
Ooh, Brett Bielema's squad. Why? Yeah, I need to know.
I don't like when you leave one Big Ten school and then end up at another. I'm just I have more loyalty than that. So
I have more loyalty than that, says the guy who's been a Spartan fan since the moment he could walk. Exactly. I respect it. All right. Most unforgettable.
I'm going to go with a player for this one, and I'm going to go Mo Ibrahim this year. Comeback. Probably college comeback player of the year. And I think he plays his way into, maybe a late day one draft pick.
Do you think there's any sort of chance that he could be going to New York for the Heisman ceremony?
I think if anyone does it from the Big Ten, not on Ohio State, that it would be him.
That's fair.
The other option would be if Aiden O'Connell absolutely balls out, but I don't believe that's going to happen. So
obviously,
you're a believer.
Honestly, I could absolutely see. I could see both C.J. Stroud and Jackson Smith-Njigba being in New York for that. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
I think Travion Henderson has an opportunity too as well. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see how those games play out. You get up early, and Travion Henderson's one of those guys where he could touch a ball at any point on the football field and take it to the house, without question. So absolutely electric player. Most likely to get upset.
Most likely to get upset, I have Penn State.
Dude, I look, we are on the same page on this one. James Franklin is just liable to blow a big game in Happy Valley.
Absolutely. Sean Clifford is the most mediocre quarterback that you could hope to lead a team. A team with talent like Penn State usually is. And I think I have Penn State 5th in the Big Ten East.
I feel like Sean Clifford has been the quarterback at Penn State literally since I was in college.
12 years. For at least 12 years.
He's the, who was the guy? Perry Ellis.
Perry Ellis.
He's the Perry Ellis of college football. Yeah. It's like, dude.
Or like a Ron Baker.
Here? Yes. Yes, I love that comparison. That's incredible. Just never graduated. That is a great, great comparison. Honestly, Purdue at Penn State, that's going to be a tough game. Penn State scheduled their whiteout against Minnesota.
That's a no.
I love that because Penn State was like, all right, we're going to schedule our whiteout against a team that we think we can beat. So they're going to scheduled it against Minnesota.
I love PJ Fleck in Happy Valley this year. Absolutely.
Oh, if that, we're going to come back and we're going to look back on this clip and be like, wow, look at us telling the future.
Telling the world Minnesota's beating Penn State at Penn State in the whiteout game.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Love to see it. All right. Most likely to upset someone.
Most likely to upset somebody. Again, best 3-9 team from last year, Nebraska, the Cornhuskers. They almost upset my Spartans. We won in double overtime.
That was just such a chaotic game. Like, absolute pandemonium.
And I had Michigan State minus 5.5, and he got caught on a pick six to win the game, and we won by a field goal. That was my ultimate bad beat of college football last year. He had a clear pick six.
Bad beats are always the worst. You look at Nebraska's schedule, too. They could absolutely play like day ruiner because Wisconsin plays at Nebraska towards the end of the season. Nebraska takes on Michigan. They take on Purdue.
They can beat Iowa this year.
Iowa. Sneaky upset spot. Oklahoma at Nebraska. September 17th.
I want to be hopeful. One of my roommates from last year, Kevin, he's the biggest Nebraska fan I know. I'm hopeful for him, but I also think that game could just be like 56-7.
Yeah, shout out Kevin. We'll see if his Go Big Red Cornhuskers can get it done. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious to see how Venables does at Oklahoma. I think he's been deserving of a head coach spot for a while.
Absolutely.
And to see him finally get it, it'll be interesting. I just don't know how I feel about.
I still think Oklahoma and Texas are just have eyes for 2024 whenever they join the SEC. So.
Dude, speaking of Texas, we're going to go off on this tangent a little bit.
Are they back?
How weird so back. But how weird was it in how they announced Quinn Ewers as their starting quarterback for this season?
So weird.
It looked to be Card for essentially all of camp, and then last week they're just like, yep, Quinn Ewers is the guy. It's like,
I mean, with a name like that, you have to announce him as a starter for week one, I think. It's like hype value. For example, Baker Mayfield could have played horrible, and I still think the Panthers announced him as a starter against the Browns to build hype. But I think that's the same kind of scenario.
There was a minute where I was thinking Quinn Ewers was going to be the next Tate Martell.
He very well could be.
Because if he loses that starting spot, transfers out of Texas.
Yeah, if he has two shitters, he's Tate Martell.
Yeah, that would be tough. I mean, he could end up playing in like how Spencer Rattler's out in South Carolina. I mean,
Yeah.
I can absolutely see Quinn Ewers being the next quarterback at who would take Auburn would
Like
take
in
him.
Nevada.
Oh, you're down that far?
Yeah.
Jesus, it's like Tate
Tate
Martell
Martell went to UNLV.
That is, talk about that guy. If NIL had started like his freshman year, he would have been the first $1 million NIL guy.
He would have been a dog. Yeah, absolutely. He'd been raking in cash.
I mean, I'm not convinced that he wasn't already raking in cash, but
yeah, that's fair.
you know how that is. You know how it is. We'll see. Next superlative. All right, best dressed in the Big Ten.
Mel Tucker. Absolutely, it's not even a question. It's not a question.
I think there is a answer to the next one though, and I'm so excited to hear your answer for it.
If it's worst dressed, I have the perfect response.
No, well, that's up next. Worst dressed. What do we got?
The Michigan State Spartans. In those god awful lime green jerseys.
Those are I'm hoping to have a video come out on my YouTube page here shortly of the top jerseys for 2022. If I ever get around to making a worst jerseys in college football video, they might be the one of worst jerseys in college football.
They're horrendous. Michigan State used to have such great alternates, like the bronze I'm thinking of. And then they go to lime green on green. Talk about two colors that don't match.
No, and I hate the Seahawks green on green bullshit that the Seahawks do. It looked 10 times worse at Michigan State. I think there's only one team that can really get away with doing some bullshit like that, and it's Oregon.
Yeah.
But like that's because you expect it from Oregon. Like Oregon is like all flash, no substance.
Orange and pink jerseys.
Yeah, like you never know what you're going to get with Oregon, both as a football team, but also in their uniforms. Like Michigan State, you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting in a football program. Like they're going to be good. They're going to be competitive. They're going to play good defense. They're going to be hard-nosed football.
It's a Big 10.
Don't get those candy-ass jerseys out of here.
Get them out.
They're god-awful.
We want white and green.
Oh. Keep it simple. They got a great color scheme, too.
Additional worst dressed Harbaugh. I don't care how much Jordan Brand stuff you put him in. He still looks like a goober in those khakis.
And the fact, like, his daughter on TikTok has, like, posted videos of him, and he's wearing khakis, like, on vacation. Like, when he's out traveling, it's like...
To the beach. Like, dude, give up the gig.
Let it rest, pal.
He's a weird guy.
He is absolutely a weirdo. He's the one that's quoted as like, I don't eat chicken because it's a weak bird.
Yep.
Like what is that?
Yeah,
that's some Liver King
Didn't he have
bullshit.
a sleepover for a recruit or something like that? I remember seeing that
like
story come
spent
out.
the night in his living room. I don't.
Weird.
Harbaugh's weird, man. He is a goofy dude, but
he gets the job done at the end of the day. So I can't rag on him too much, but.
What one win against Ohio State in like 9 years is getting the job done? Is that?
I mean, he won a Big 10 championship last year, so.
That's fair. That's fair. You're right. We can't. The one shit talking point that I've had over Michigan the last like decade is null and void. Which
they're like 4-14 against Michigan State and Ohio State combined over the last decade or something. Yeah, it's now null and void because they win one ring.
That's tough. It's tough to be a Michigan hater, but it is what it is. All right, that was our Super Superlative segment. I appreciate y'all getting through that. It's we're gonna keep that around. I like that.
You gotta keep that.
We can do that for. We could do that for NFL. We could do it for all sorts of shit. I love it. But the reason that we're all excited for this weekend, college football, week 0, we're back. We're back. I'm so fucking inserting the clip of Sam Ellinger. We're back. We're back. Oh, it's beautiful. We get Northwestern at Nebraska in Dublin, Ireland. What a I actually love starting the year with a Big Ten matchup. I feel like the SEC doesn't do that for the conference. They're like, oh, it just means more. It's like sick. You're starting out the season against Alabama, like agriculture and mining. Like,
and then in
here?
November you'll play St. Mary's College of the Deaf and Blind and win 96-0.
It's like, come on, at least schedule it so like. I don't care if Alabama's going to do that. I get it. I have no qualms against that at all. But at least schedule a game that's like actually exciting and competitive to watch. I guess we have Florida-Utah week 1. Like that'll be a good game. But like put like Mississippi State and Texas A&M week 1. Like that would be electric. I need that. I need a high octane
SEC game in your veins.
Yeah, give me some air raid bullshit 70+ point total game. That's what I need. I need that and a bowl of chili and some like a nice cold Miller Lite sponsor. Buffalo chicken dip. We need to get a sponsor for the podcast. I don't know who we're gonna get. Skyline Chili. Skyline Chili sponsor the podcast. It'll be lit. No free ads. No free ads.
No Skyline free ads, man. Come on. Have I not taught you anything?
Hey, look, you are the head of sponsorship consulting, so we'll have to keep that on the DL. Sponsorship's coming up; it'll be lit.
I'll hook you up.
Let's. I appreciate that. First game, we're gonna do Nebraska Northwestern. There are a couple games that we'll walk through them real quick, but Nebraska Northwestern's the headliner. Nebraska 12.5-point favorites. What are we thinking for the Dublin game?
I have Nebraska minus 12.5, and I think pretty easily. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, last year this game was 56-7.
You are correct.
And I don't see much difference like from that year to this year. So I have Nebraska minus 12.5. Knowing Pat Fitzgerald, he's going to win this game by 2 points somehow, and just break every Nebraska fan's heart. But I think Nebraska minus 12.5 is the play here, and I think it'll be pretty easy.
Yeah, Northwestern lost their best defensive player in the transfer to Notre Dame and their safety, so give me Nebraska. I don't think this game will be relatively close. I do lean the under. This has all of the feelings of like it's 50? Week 0, 50. It's 50.5. Yeah, I'm going to take the under in that. Like, Big Ten game, neutral site, across the pond. Nothing about this game screams over. No. I think the only reason this number is that high is because it was such a blowout last year. And while I do like Nebraska to cover the 2-touchdown spread, like it's not going to be 56-7 like it was last year.
23-9 or something like that.
Yeah, just a weird enough spread to not go to 12.5. It's beautiful.
The game will be electric too.
You know how you know Big Ten football's back when you see you look at the live tracker on ESPN and it's like drive summary, punt, interception, turnover on downs, punt, end of quarter.
And if it's Iowa playing, it's like punt from the opponent's 38-yard line, like.
Yeah. Oh man, Iowa's never seen a field goal that they've wanted to take.
Never.
It's a
I think it's thing. Against Kirk Ferentz's being to kick field goals.
That dude has to hate NIL.
He only can't be a coach. Oh yeah, no, he's as old school as they come.
Gotta be, man, gotta be. So the official play, we're gonna go Nebraska minus 12.5. Utah State, UConn.
They're going to slaughter UConn. It won't be close.
I low-key kind of like Utah State this year. I know they won the Mountain West last year in kind of a weird, fluky, one-off season or whatever, but I think they have a pretty decent offense. And, yeah UConn sucks.
I agree. And UConn is, besides Kansas, maybe the most pathetic excuse for a football team. I think Utah minus 27.5 is damn near a lock. So
your program's not in a good spot when you go. you know your program's not in a good spot where you go, hey, you know that group of 5 team? Yeah, they're minus 28 points, and that's a lock.
Yeah.
Like that's the state of UConn football. It's tough
when,
to see.
When a Mountain West program is locking you with 4 touchdowns, you need to reevaluate.
Yeah. Bring back the old Big East. Bring back the old Big East.
Greatest basketball conference ever.
That I'll admit. The Kemba Walker Big East. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Give me it.
That Big East tournament was absolutely electric. Speaking of electric powerhouse college football teams, Wyoming, Illinois.
Well, I have a bone to pick with this game because Wyoming as a state, I don't believe in the concept of it. So I refuse to bet on this game. If I did.
Are you just not a Yellowstone guy, or?
I don't believe in Wyoming.
I so respect that.
I don't. I think it's a fake place.
I hate it.
I think it's a fake state, and I think it's a fake college. So Illinois gets the win on those bases, and purely those bases.
Illinois is a 9.5-point favorite. I truly don't think that Illinois should be a 9.5-point favorite on any team in the country,
except UConn.
Except UConn. The over/under for this game is 43.5. This game is going to be an absolute snooze fest.
I would take the under just hearing it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can bet how many times a team will hit the over this year, but whatever that number is for Illinois,
take the under.
It's got to be yeah. Take the under of that as well. They are going to score no points.
Negative points. Isn't Tommy DeVito their quarterback from Syracuse? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude
You're
had
a Big
an up
10
and down
recruit?
career at one of the worst ACC schools.
What are we doing? You're a Big 10 school, and you're getting a transfer quarterback from Syracuse.
He likes the
color.
color
What are we
orange.
doing here? I must be.
That's
it's
it.
A great, as a Bengals fan, great color. Yeah, the orange and blue too. It's disgusting.
It's not great.
Next game, actually probably the best game on the slate, to be honest with you, is UTEP North Texas.
That could be a good game. What about the FAU Charlotte game?
I don't know anything about Charlotte.
That's a conference game.
I don't know shit about Charlotte football is the problem. I don't even know what to tell you.
I don't know anything, but I know it's a conference game, week 0.
Is that game a pick'em? I have to look now. Is that game a pick'em? We're gonna make a play based on. We're just gonna look at the numbers and see what they say. It's gonna be beautiful. But we're making a play on this game.
Favorited. FAU has to be the favorite.
I mean, we'll see.
Based on my limited knowledge of FAU football.
Yeah, so FAU is the favorite. It's Charlotte at FAU. FAU minus 7.5. Over under 57.5.
Damn. Some high octane.
Owls know how to score, baby.
It's a lot of points. I like the over there.
I love
the over. That game's gonna be 40-40.
Perfect. Okay, so that's the plan. The reason to watch Charlotte FAU points.
Points. At least 80.
Oh, that's great. We're gonna go UTEP North Texas because I want to hit this 1.5-point spread. UTEP had an unbelievable season last year. Really exceeded expectations, to be honest. North Texas, kind of an up and down year. I think, what did they end the season last year? 7-5?
7 wins, yeah, 7 wins. Didn't they win they went to a bowl game.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they lost to Miami of Ohio in a bowl game. I forget the bowl, but they lost to Miami of Ohio. Okay. North Texas honestly had a really good year last year. Yeah. UTSA was the team that was good last year, not UTEP. What am I thinking? But I'm gonna take North Texas minus 1.5 here.
agree.
North Texas has been solid against the spread the last 2 seasons, and I like them to win this one. It's an away game, so we'll see. Conference USA is a interesting conference from. Their fans are so they have. I will say this: out of the group of 5 schools, Conference USA has one of the most passionate fan bases in college football.
Yeah, I'd say behind maybe the MAC at some points.
Okay, the MAC is fun. The MAC is exciting. Have you seen those stands on a Tuesday night?
I worked in those stands on a Tuesday night. They're empty, but everyone loves it.
That's okay. That's fair. If anything,
The
MAC
fans
knows how to party.
The fans aren't of MAC schools. They're just fans of the MAC. Is the difference here?
The MACtion's a national brand, baby.
Exactly.
It's a national brand.
Has a national brand. They're on prime time every week. I think.
I tell you what, though.
Only the Power 5 conferences and the MAC are on prime time every week.
That is one of the best times of the year. That portion of the schedule where you get MAC football on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So then you have football literally every day of the week. It is.
Oh, I lied. Doesn't the Sun Belt play on Wednesdays?
Yeah. So there are because I'm pretty sure last year's App State and Coastal played on a Wednesday, which was an absolutely electric game, but it's just such a weird timing. So yeah. Oh, I love Coastal this year.
There were some
Grayson McCall,
hairstyles on that football field.
Oh, and the teal turf. I hate Boise State Stadium. Hate it. Can't stand it. Coastal's out in Myrtle Beach. It's pretty awesome.
What about the Inferno in Eastern Washington?
That makes my eyes bleed.
Yeah, it's the worst. I think it's worse than Boise State by a lot.
Worse than Boise? That's fair. Yeah, that does. Oh God. All the people who watch those Eastern Washington games. So,
yeah. On ESPN Plus.
Yep. Last game of College Football Week 0. You got to ending College Week 0 with a Hawaii. Is chef's kiss. Shout out to whoever scheduled this game.
It's the perfect start.
I'm taking the over. Taking the over.
Have to. And I would honestly take Hawaii. Aren't they obscenely good against the spread this last year?
Yes, actually, Hawaii is 11-2 against the spread in FBS openers. They were great against the spread last year, but
there it is.
First game against FBS. Vandy, all those nerds are going to be super excited to go to Hawaii, go outside, touch grass. So it'll be a great game. Give me Hawaii money line just for fun.
Absolutely. I think
the Rainbow Warriors.
Hawaii wins straight up, and they score a buck ton of points.
Football is so back.
So back.
So back. Oh.
I can't wait.
No, I appreciate you coming on, man. This was a incredible pilot episode. People have been talking about hey, you know what's coming out this week? It's House of Dragons and then Smash Hit Sports pilot episode number 1. So
I can't recommend both highly enough.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on. Again, you can follow Noah everywhere on the internet at nbenz20. He's a comedian on the internet. He's a good time. But if you enjoyed this, obviously subscribe to the podcast. I appreciate that. The numbers. Everybody, I love it when the podcast does numbies. That being said, if you really like it, tell a friend, man. Tell a friend. That's the best way to share this, best way to help out, best way to support. Be a friend, tell a friend. I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a good one. Later.
Peace.